Whenever the creation come out the portal, you sign basically a contract. You allow them to take over, your loved ones, just like how you was taken over. Whenever you enter the physical realm, you sign certain things with spells attached to it. So I'm going to tell y'all what I think about child support and get deep into it so y'all can understand. This is how I feel, how the shadows set up this so-called child support. Child support, basically it's programming and destroying y'all on many levels. Now, whenever, like, for example, the names that's basically assigned to you, that's not your name. You're basically signing to take over another character. That's not your name. That's something that the system created. So the so-called last names and names, middle names, whatever you want to call it, that's connected to you. So you take that on. That's a spell by itself. You don't know what certain names mean. And, like I said, we're sounds and vibrations. So, you sign over the name. Basically, you sign your loved ones over. So whenever you sign them over, basically the so-called system, the shadows that controls the government and other things, basically they got control of your physical. Basically, the shadows taking over your physical anatomy. So whenever the creator create the new creation, basically they take over. The shadows take over. And whenever, basically your contracts, corporations, contracts, names and titles. If you go to, like, for example, like say if you would go to the mall or something, let's throw out a few stores like Kroger's or, I remember Piggly Wiggly. That's nothing but a business, a corporation. The physical is a business. That's the reason why they can use that. And if you invade that, basically, you it's like stealing something from the store without paying for it. So they basically they set up these laws, and whenever you have physical sex, whenever you bring that energy to the physical realm, you're signing it over. And you don't even know it. You tricked, basically. You tricked into it. You're signing certain things that you don't understand. Just imagine if you didn't. That's the reason why the hospital always try to get you to, sign certain things and, the birth certificates and all of that mess. Basically the system, because the experiment lab is connected to the courthouse, and that's when the church come in. And the church, all of that stuff is connected together. They set up these stories and stuff, these biblical characters, and some of y'all take the emotional entities in. And whenever you sign certain things, and then you go by the so-called rules, the court, the law, and the Bible, and the Bible and the system is basically raising your loved ones, telling you how you should raise your loved ones. And, that's the reason why the whole religion thing is nothing but a bunch of mess in these characters. That's the reason why the system say God's children and got you basically doing hidden rituals and praying to this illusion God and stuff, like giving your energy into this illusion God. So that's the reason why some of y'all be messed up on many levels. Now, whenever it comes to, like, for example, like in certain countries, some can't have sex until they get married, and being married is nothing but a contract. And, you know, you're basically property. That's when that Bible mess come in, you know, saying, oh, you can't have sex until you get married, and some go for it, you know, and you got to look at it this way. Do animals sign contracts and, you know, pick and choose who they want to be with? Like, far as having a love partner? No, animals do their thing and keep it moving. Whenever they have a child, so-called child, whenever they have that, you know, the so-called humans basically still take, I ain't gonna say still, some still take the animals away from their mother, just like the shadow's taking you away, like, you know, on many levels, hidden rituals and stuff like that. And, you know, animals basically, you know, they do their thing and keep it moving. Right? There's no such thing as being married. That's a bunch of mess. Just like I said before, whenever it comes to the court, like I said, the court and the church and all of that stuff is connected together. Look who's running the system. Look what they're connected with. You got sick, twisted Catholic priests, Muslims, so-called pastors and preachers, you know. Basically, they're sick and twisted. Some of them speak Latin. You know, Latin, to me, that could mess y'all up on so many different... Well, basically, it did mess y'all up on many levels. Y'all don't know nothing about the Latin. That's even on the so-called American bill, the so-called money. You know, so... not to get off topic, but I had to throw that in there. I talked about that already. But it's funny how, you know, like I said this before, if you go to court and if you, like, say if you stole something or you got in trouble or something and you say, God told me to do it, the judge gonna look at you like you're crazy. You know, you don't have proof. Where's your proof? You know, and some of y'all out there, not to get off topic, but you say, oh, God talking to you, this and that. That's your inside voice. You silly if you give made up character, God, Jesus, you know, credit. That's the reason why y'all getting set back with these spells and stuff like that. You know, they're going to think you're crazy and probably be like, you know, you don't have proof, just like I said before, the biblical characters. Where's the proof? You know, so these sick individuals, they come up with, you're basically giving it to the king and queen and stuff whenever you sign your loved ones over to the system. You know, like I said, whoever running this so-called planet, you know, they not even so-called Americans. It's a bunch of foreigners, like from another planet, not the foreigners that y'all used to and programmed with. Y'all think it's about the physical foreigners, but it's deeper than that. You know, but they created this little system. You're signing it over to these sick individuals. So basically they can come in and snatch your loved ones up, you know, whenever they want to. Because you signed it over. So whenever you have physical sex, in a way it's sort of a crime because you basically didn't sign a contract. So that's the reason why the system is so hard on the men, because you ain't signed the so-called marriage contract. So they will call the child a bastard and different types of names and stuff like that. So they threaten to take the license, even in certain states. You know, you can't even go to another country. And, you know, like, especially like whenever it comes to the Commonwealth state, you know, they screw you over on many levels. So basically, that's the reason why, you know, the system is very hard on the men, because they didn't, like I said, they didn't sign the contracts and stuff. And you have some women on some crooked stuff, they'll sign the names, basically the spells, the nature over, and say that individual is the so-called father. You know, so sign that over. And some, you know, basically have to pay for it or they go to jail. So basically, you know, if you don't sign the contract, you know, because like I said, we're supposed to be the so-called property. But when you reach certain levels, you're not that. You know, you destroy the names and titles and spells and do what you do. You feel my signals? But that's the reason why they're so hard on the men. And even like whenever it comes to the creator, they programmed them and got them dependent on the so-called government system. You feel my signals? And some be trifling. And some of y'all, like I said, you got to be careful about playing with the energy, because whenever you play with the energy, you know, it could come back on you on many levels. You don't really own your loved ones. You know, I didn't sign, you know, my loved one over. You know, like, I mean, although she lived, you know, she stayed with me, but I didn't sign it. You know, her mother did, but I didn't. I refused to. Of course, you got the Freemasons connected with the experiment lab, the hospitals. You know, some of them keep an eye on your loved ones. You know, and some of them snatch them up. You know, some of your so-called loved ones, relatives, they could be Freemasons and they could snatch up their own so-called kin folks or relatives. They could have them, you know, snatched up and do certain things, rituals and sacrifice, or send them off and use their abilities and gifts on many levels. You know, I could take that to another level. I should do a video on that. You know, I touched on it a little bit, but I need to do a video on that. I talked about some of it, but anywho, some of y'all, you know, y'all have physical sex because you connected to the emotional holograms. You take on these characters and stuff. Some of y'all try to act like these so-called hoods, or, you know, what y'all call it, goons, or fake ass wannabe thugs, or whatever you want y'all call yourself, you know, or so-called gangster, gang, that corny whack stuff. Y'all don't even know what that means. Y'all just saying. So y'all watch these entertainers, like, for example, the corny rappers. They promote the so-called spirits, the liquor that y'all take in, and the so-called name brand designers, whatever you want to call it, and y'all connect with that, and then y'all watch how they play y'all. They're basically raising y'all. You know, y'all go out here, do the street hustling thing, or you have, you know, multiple so-called love partners, and you're only doing that just because you see others do it. And then some of y'all go by the looks, you know. Some of y'all see someone look beautiful or something, and you'd be like, oh, I want to have their baby, and that's on both ends. You'd be like, some be like, oh, she fine, I'm gonna, shoot up in her, or some women be like, oh, such is fine, and I want that individual's baby, and some of y'all get caught up into the sex, and it's deeper than that. Like I said, whenever it comes to sex, you have sex on many levels, not just the physical sex, but some of y'all programmed to the physical sex. And then next thing you know, you have issues, and if this individual kick it with somebody else, the so-called mother get mad and want to foul the child support, and get certain individuals caught up. I feel like this, if you open your legs up, you set yourself up, and some of y'all want to judge certain individuals, and you shouldn't judge them, because some individuals, when you have physical sex, you're not on the same frequency. So if you're not on the same frequency, of course, that's not. And then some of you so-called men, y'all go out here and put your so-called nature into anything, just because now, women got fake breasts, fake asses and stuff like that, but you're caught up into the looks. And then you got some that just don't give a damn. They're just right dirty and nasty. You feel my signals? You got certain individuals out there that sleep with any and everything, and if you don't know your love partner, if you're not on the same frequency, they could be sleeping with the same sex, bring it back to you. Then you have spells and negative energy attached to you. Then you become that character, and you'll shift on a low frequency. And then, of course, that's when y'all will bring that so-called child support in, and the so-called system, the shadows, these names and titles, the king, you actually sleeping with the king's property. So you're basically going to pay for it because you didn't sign that contract. And, I laugh at some of y'all when y'all call yourself kings and queens. And like I said, I ain't none of these names and titles. Y'all don't even know what that stuff means, but you quick to call yourself kings and queens. And like I said, whoever running this country is a bunch of foreigners from another planet. And I'm not talking about the so-called physical foreigners that y'all program and taught by the shade of certain skin. It's deeper than that. But, you set yourself up. So some like, oh, I don't think it's fair that, I have to pay child support. But whoever you mess with, sign your loved one over. And if you sign it over, you giving them permission. You giving them permission to take over, your loved ones. And they send child service and tell you how to raise your loved ones. Like I said, the radio frequency and the black mirrors and stuff raised your loved ones and the loved ones before you, telling you how to act, and you doing these hidden rituals and stuff like that. But that's going to probably go over some of y'all's head. But if you're on a high frequency, you can see that. You can see how this so-called illusion is messed up. On so many levels. Just imagine if y'all didn't sign. You say, I refuse to sign it. Then they'd be like, well, they basically illegal, and come up with these messed up laws and stuff like that. And they could be on that, they could take that to another level. Just imagine if you knew how to deliver your own child. See, their program got y'all dependent on them on so many levels. Just imagine you could depend on your own child and raise your child without the system knowing. just imagine if y'all would just stand up and just be like, hey, we're not signing no more of this stuff over. But, it's already deep into y'all's roots. It's in your DNA. So some of y'all programmed whenever y'all come back to the low frequency realm, because some of y'all going to return back to this low frequency realm and repeat certain things over again. You're connected to these so-called messed up laws inside the illusion. Some say, oh, we should get together. It's more of us than it is them. Yeah, that's probably true. But you got individuals that's connected to the shadows that's already messed up. So they're going to mess up everything. So there's no such thing as there's more of us than it is them. Because they already got certain individual souls and minds. Even your so-called relatives and stuff can turn on you. Whenever it comes to animals, whenever, for example, whenever they become roadkill or somebody's meal, the mother or vice versa, they basically raise the animal, the animal. I didn't mean to say child, my apology. Well, the baby so-called animal, that's nothing but names and titles. They don't know they're being called animals and these so-called names. But, or like, for example, you don't have animals saying, I'm going to file child support because you're not taking care of your loved ones. I mean, y'all feel my signals? So this whole child support thing is a bunch of mess. And basically it's controlling y'all. And that's for them to keep an eye, certain Freemasons and stuff know certain relatives gonna have, like, they know when certain energy is coming through. They know when it's coming through this illusion and stuff like that. And whenever it comes through certain portals. So they'll use them for entertainment or singing. The certain so-called Masons know about that stuff. Certain society groups. It's deeper than Masons. There's other groups out here that's deeper than the so-called Freemasons. Like I said, you have certain so-called women running stuff. Like running certain big groups. And I ain't going to get deep into that. I see a lot of stuff. But I just had to share that with y'all, because some of y'all, basically being programmed and you don't know you're basically property yourself, not just your loved ones. So all of these laws and the chemicals that's connecting with the physical bodies and all of the 800 megahertz and all of that stuff going through the physical and the programming, basically destroying some of y'all. So they created the laws and still experimenting on the physical body because, like I said, the physical body got a lot of things inside of it. So they said the experiment, you got the experiment lab, the hospital, the corporation, like the pharmacy and the prison and jail and stuff. They experiment on the inmates and experiments on the patients, and it's on many levels. So all of that stuff is connected together, and some of y'all don't see that. So they're gonna promote fear and all of that stuff, and then whenever it comes to child support, or they're gonna, like, you got certain individuals get into their feelings and get mad and say, oh, I'm gonna go file child support, and they setting their loved ones up. because their loved ones can get snatched up. You know, some of y'all thinking y'all setting the dudes up, but if somebody call and say you're mistreating that child, they can come in and take them. So you're basically already the property, you know, and certain, you know, they got all that caretaker mess and stuff, and, you know, where you can adopt and sign your nature over for, some of y'all sell your loved ones over just for the so-called money, with souls attached to it. You know, but I just had to share this with y'all. You know, I was just sitting thinking about, you know, this. I was like, you know, I see through a lot of things in this system and stuff, and you know, some get angry, you know, like, damn, I gotta pay this child support and this and that, and or I'm gonna go to jail. You know, some get 6 months. Of course, that's one of their symbols and stuff like that. Like if it's their first time, and basically, you know, you touch the so-called queen's daughter without signing the contract. That's what it's all about. So, you know, if y'all want to work things out, this is what I recommend. If you want a high frequency, you know, stay away from the court system. Now, if you don't get along and things don't work out, you know, get along. You know, you don't have to get along, but still have respect for each other. Because like I said, animals, they're not going around, I'm gonna file child support. You don't see like a gorilla walking down the street and say, you know what? This deadbeat male gorilla, I'm filing child support, going up to the courthouse. You don't see that stuff. That stuff is a bunch of mess. You know, you don't see birds out here doing that. You don't see ducks and stuff. You feel my signals? So, you know, like, you have to also control your energy and know how to work certain things, break spells and stuff like that. You know, there's no such thing as this illusion God and Jesus, and some of y'all put the spells on them and use the word blessings and stuff. Like, that's nothing but spells. You know, some of y'all say, oh, I protect them. They programmed y'all that. And like I said, these crooked pastors and stuff, when they so-called be speaking in tongues, they speak in Latin and putting y'all into a spell. And these individuals, they know certain things, how to hypnotize you and put you in a trance, some of these so-called speakers. That's why y'all be latched on to certain individuals. What? Did somebody say something?